Dear friends, in the rush of our daily lives, we often forget a profound truth. We are valuable, not because of what we accomplish, not because of how others see us, but simply because we exist. Each of us bears within us a unique spark, a dignity that cannot be diminished by failure, neglect, or indifference. To focus and value yourself is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of courage and clarity. To recognize your worth is to align your life with reality, with the truth of who you are. The world will demand your attention. It will call you to serve, to labor, to sacrifice. But if you lose sight of yourself, your spirit becomes fragmented, and your gifts are never fully realized. Focusing means discernment. It means refusing to scatter your energies on endless distractions. It means seeking that which truly nourishes your mind, heart, and soul. Value yourself enough to say no to what diminishes you, and yes to what enriches and strengthens your life. And in valuing yourself, remember, you are a work of wonder. You are capable of growth, of transformation, of beauty. When you honor yourself, you honor your vocation in life, and the world itself becomes a better place through your authenticity. Friends, it is time to awaken. It is time to focus. It is time to value yourself, not with arrogance, but with the humility of one who recognizes their own profound worth. In doing so, you will not only change yourself, you will change the world. Certainly, here's an expanded version of your requested point, formatted for audio narration with clear line breaks between sentences. There is a truth we often overlook in the rush of our lives. It is the simple, yet profound reality that your worth is inherent. You do not earn it by achieving great feats, nor do you acquire it through the praise of others. Your value is not measured by your success, your wealth, or the recognition you receive. It exists simply because you exist. From the moment of your birth, you were endowed with a dignity that no circumstance can erase. This worth is not conditional. It does not fluctuate with the highs and lows of life. It is constant, unwavering, and eternal. To recognize this is to free yourself from a lifetime of seeking validation in all the wrong places. How often do we chase applause, admiration, or approval, thinking that they will define who we are? We compare ourselves to others, striving to reach standards that are not truly ours. We forget that our value is not a reflection of performance, but a reflection of being. Every person, every soul, carries within it a light that is irreplaceable. No one else can be you. No one else can live your experiences, feel your joys, or carry your burdens in exactly the same way. This uniqueness is part of what makes you inherently valuable. When we begin to see ourselves through this lens, life transforms. We no longer bend our hearts to the judgments of the world. We no longer define ourselves by the number of accomplishments we have amassed or the recognition we have gained. Instead, we embrace a freedom that allows us to grow, to love, and to contribute without fear of inadequacy. Recognizing your intrinsic worth is also an act of courage. It challenges the culture that constantly tells us we must earn our place, prove our value, and compete for attention. It reminds us that worth is not something to be achieved, it is something to be remembered. Even in moments of failure or rejection, your intrinsic value remains untouched. Even when the world seems to turn away, your dignity is intact. To live with this awareness is to treat yourself with the respect and care that your very existence demands. It is to listen to your own heart, to honor your needs, and to nurture your growth. When you embrace your inherent worth, you begin to extend that same recognition to others. You see the value in their lives, not because of what they do or how they succeed, but because they, too, are irreplaceable. This awareness brings a deep peace, a stability that is not shaken by comparison or competition. It allows you to move through life with confidence, not arrogance, but with the quiet certainty that you are enough. And in that certainty, every action, every choice, every relationship becomes richer. Because when you understand that your value is intrinsic, you can live fully, freely, and authentically. You no longer measure yourself by others' standards, but by the truth of who you are, and that truth is beautiful, profound, and unchanging. Absolutely. Here's an expanded 600-word version of your requested point, formatted for audio narration with line breaks for pacing. Focus is a gift, yet it is one that we often take for granted. In the whirlwind of our daily lives, our attention is pulled in countless directions. Notifications demand it, obligations demand it, and countless distractions clamor for it. We can become so scattered that we lose sight of what truly matters. To focus is to reclaim a clarity that is often hidden beneath the noise of modern life. It is the deliberate act of turning your mind and heart toward what is essential. It is not merely about doing more, but about doing what is most meaningful. Focus is like a lens on a camera. Without it, the picture of our lives is blurred, filled with shapes and colors, but lacking definition. With it, every detail comes into view. Every priority stands out. Every decision becomes intentional. To focus is also an act of courage. It requires saying no to distractions, even when they are tempting, even when they are familiar. It requires resisting the pull of what is urgent but not important. It requires discernment, the wisdom to separate the fleeting from the enduring, because in life, much of what demands our attention is trivial. Much of what seems pressing is ultimately insignificant. We chase it, we worry about it, we exhaust ourselves over it, yet it does not nourish our souls. True focus, however, demands that we look deeper. It calls us to identify our values, our purpose, and the work that aligns with our deepest convictions. It asks us to be honest with ourselves about what matters, and equally honest about what does not. Clarity comes when we strip away the unnecessary. Clarity comes when we silence the chatter of the world. Clarity comes when we are fully present in the moment, undistracted, undeterred, and intentional. Focus allows us to devote our energy to growth, to relationships, to creativity, to love. It enables us to act with precision rather than reacting to every impulse and demand. It brings peace to the mind because we no longer live in a state of chaos and distraction. Focus is also a form of respect. Respect for your own time, your own energy, your own life. When you prioritize what matters, you acknowledge that your life is precious and finite. You acknowledge that your contributions have weight, that your choices shape not only your path, but the world around you. It is in this clarity that true productivity is born. Not the frantic, scattered productivity that leaves us exhausted and empty, but the kind that is purposeful, meaningful, and deeply satisfying. To focus is to embrace discipline, but not as a burden. Discipline becomes a tool for freedom, freeing us from the tyranny of distraction. It allows us to channel our talents and passions toward the endeavors that truly define us. And as we cultivate this focus, our vision of life sharpens. Our priorities come into alignment. We begin to recognize the difference between what is urgent and what is important. We begin to act with intention, not compulsion. We begin to experience the profound satisfaction that comes from knowing that our energy, our time, and our heart are devoted to what truly matters. Focus, then, is not merely a skill. It is a way of seeing, a way of being, a way of living. It is the clarity that transforms ordinary moments into meaningful ones. It is the discipline that allows us to cut through chaos and see life as it truly is. And in that clarity, we find purpose, peace, and the power to live fully. Of course, here's an expanded 600-word version of your requested point, formatted for audio narration with clear line breaks. Valuing yourself is not always easy. It requires a quiet, steady courage that is often overlooked in the rush of daily life. To truly value yourself is to recognize that your time, energy, and spirit are precious, and if they are precious, then you must protect them. This protection sometimes requires saying no to people, to obligations, to habits, or to situations that diminish your sense of self. Saying no is not always popular. It can feel uncomfortable, even frightening. We fear the judgment of others. We fear disappointment or conflict. We fear being seen as selfish. But the courage to prioritize yourself is not selfishness. It is an act of integrity. It is an acknowledgement that your well-being matters. It is an affirmation that you are responsible for your own life, your own growth, and your own happiness. When we lack this courage, we drift through life allowing external demands to define us. We give our energy away to causes, people, or tasks that do not honor our true selves. We exhaust ourselves in pursuit of approval, recognition, or acceptance that may never come. We dilute our potential by spreading ourselves too thin. But when we summon the courage to prioritize, everything changes. We begin to see our lives with clarity. We understand that saying yes to some things requires saying no to others. We recognize that our time and energy are limited, and therefore sacred. To prioritize is to choose intentionally. It is to decide which relationships, responsibilities, and goals are worthy of your attention. It is to reject that which drains you, diminishes your spirit, or diverts you from your purpose. This courage grows gradually. It is cultivated in small acts of honesty and discernment. It is practiced every time we resist a distraction, every time we decline an invitation that would leave us empty, every time we step back from a situation that compromises our integrity. It is reinforced each time we honor our needs, speak our truth, and protect our boundaries. The world will not always approve. Some will misunderstand, some may criticize, and yet the courage to prioritize is rooted not in the opinions of others, but in the conviction of your own heart. It is the voice inside that says, I deserve to be treated with respect. I deserve time to grow. I deserve to live fully. And when you act on that voice, you teach others how to treat you. You set the standard for the way you allow the world to interact with your life. This courage also allows space for growth. By saying no to what diminishes you, you create room for what nourishes you. You can invest in relationships that uplift, work that inspires, and habits that strengthen. You can devote time to reflection, learning, and self-care. You can step into your purpose with clarity and confidence. Valuing yourself is a daily commitment. It is an ongoing practice of discernment, courage, and self-respect. It is a recognition that your life is yours to shape, and that your energy is not to be squandered. When we prioritize courageously, we honor our dignity, our potential, and our vocation in life. We reclaim the power to live intentionally rather than reactively, and in doing so, we create a life that is not only meaningful for ourselves, but also a source of light and inspiration for others. The courage to prioritize is not easy, but it is transformative. It is the choice to live fully, freely, and authentically. It is the recognition that your worth demands protection and your life deserves focus. And with this courage, every step you take becomes a declaration that you value yourself and that your life matters. Absolutely. Here's an expanded 600-word version of your requested point, formatted for audio narration with clear line breaks. There is a profound connection between focus and the truth of who we are. When we take the time to center ourselves, to quiet the noise of the world, we begin to see more clearly. We begin to recognize the deeper currents that guide our lives. This is what it means to align spiritually. Focusing is not merely a mental exercise, it is a way of orienting your entire being toward what is true, good, and authentic. When we are scattered, we risk living fragmented lives. We act without intention. We drift from one distraction to another. We lose touch with our inner compass, with the voice that calls us toward purpose and meaning. But when we focus, we listen. We attune ourselves to the rhythm of our own heart and soul. We notice the stirrings of conscience, the sparks of inspiration, and the quiet nudges toward growth. Focusing aligns our actions with our deepest values. It allows us to live consistently with the truths we hold about ourselves and the world. It is in this alignment that we discover a remarkable peace, because there is a harmony between who we are and how we live. There is integrity in every choice. There is freedom in every decision. Spiritual alignment requires discernment. It requires the courage to look honestly at our lives and recognize where we have strayed from our authentic path. It requires the willingness to let go of what is false, superficial, or distracting. It asks us to examine our relationships, our habits, and our priorities, and to ask a simple yet profound question: does this align with the truth of who I am? When we focus in this way, we discover that life begins to flow differently. Our decisions are guided not by fear or external pressure, but by an inner clarity. We begin to see the purpose behind our struggles, the lessons in our challenges, and the gifts within our experiences. This alignment is not static. It is a continual process of reflection, adjustment, and growth. We focus, we pause, we evaluate, and we realign as needed. Every act of attention, every choice made with awareness, draws us closer to the center of our being. We begin to recognize that our lives have a coherence that transcends the chaos of daily life. We experience a sense of unity, a sense that our inner world and outer actions are in harmony. Focusing in this way also deepens our relationships with others. When we are aligned with our own truth, we can engage authentically with the world. We listen more deeply, speak more honestly, and act more compassionately. We are no longer scattered or reactive. We are present, intentional, and whole. Spiritual alignment is also a form of self-respect. It is an acknowledgement that our inner life matters. It is a recognition that our thoughts, feelings, and convictions deserve attention and care. It allows us to honor our gifts, our purpose, and our calling. In this alignment, we are no longer swayed by every passing trend, every opinion, or every pressure from the outside world. We stand rooted in our own truth, guided by the clarity that comes from focus. And in this rootedness, life becomes richer, deeper, and more meaningful. Every decision, every action, every interaction reflects the harmony of our inner and outer lives. Focusing aligns us not only with who we are, but with who we are called to become. It is a path to wholeness, a journey toward integrity, and a practice of living fully and authentically. Through focus, we discover the beauty of living in alignment with our own truth, the power of being present, and the grace of acting with intention. It is here, in this alignment, that we encounter the fullness of life and the deepest expression of ourselves. Certainly, here's an expanded 600-word version of your requested point, formatted for audio narration with line breaks. Valuing yourself is not a luxury. It is not an indulgence or a fleeting desire. It is a moral and spiritual responsibility. To care for yourself is to acknowledge that your life matters. It is to recognize that your mind, your heart, and your soul deserve attention, nourishment, and respect. Self-care is often misunderstood. Some see it as selfish, as turning inward at the expense of others. But true self-care is far from selfishness. It is the foundation upon which all other responsibilities rest. You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot serve others fully if your own spirit is depleted. You cannot love deeply if your heart is neglected. To neglect yourself is to deny the gifts and the potential that are uniquely yours. Every person carries within them a calling, a purpose, a set of responsibilities, and caring for oneself is the first step in honoring that calling. It is the recognition that your well-being is intertwined with the lives of those around you. When you tend to your needs, you become more capable of tending to others. When you nourish your mind, your spirit grows stronger, and your actions become wiser. When you honor your body, you gain the energy and vitality to contribute meaningfully to the world. Self-care requires attentiveness. It asks you to pause and ask honest questions. What do I need to thrive? Where am I drained? What actions, habits, or relationships are harming me? And then, with courage and clarity, it calls you to act. It is a commitment to nurture yourself daily, to protect your energy, and to cultivate peace within. It is also a recognition of boundaries. To care for yourself is to know where to say yes and where to say no. It is to reject that which diminishes you and to embrace that which elevates and sustains you. This practice is not self-centered, it is life-centered. It acknowledges the profound truth that your existence matters, that your gifts are valuable, and that your growth enriches the world. Neglecting self-care, on the other hand, is a disservice to everyone. It leaves you vulnerable, exhausted, and unable to act with clarity or compassion. It weakens your capacity to love, to create, and to contribute. Valuing yourself is an act of responsibility. It is a spiritual discipline as important as prayer, reflection, or service. It is a daily practice of honoring the life that has been entrusted to you. And it is a moral imperative because the world needs your best self, not your depleted self. Self-care nurtures the soul. It strengthens resilience, sharpens focus, and deepens understanding. It allows you to face life's challenges with clarity and courage. It empowers you to respond to suffering with empathy and to act with wisdom. Every act of self-care is an acknowledgement of your worth. Every moment you dedicate to rest, reflection, and renewal is a declaration that your life matters. And in honoring yourself, you honor the sacredness of existence itself. It is not indulgence, it is stewardship. You are the caretaker of your own mind, heart, and spirit. Neglecting that duty diminishes your ability to fulfill your purpose. Caring for yourself, then, is a profound moral and spiritual act. It is a commitment to live fully, to act intentionally, and to contribute meaningfully. It is the recognition that self-respect and self-love are not optional, but essential. When you embrace this responsibility, you become a source of strength, compassion, and light in the world. And through that, you honor not only yourself, but the greater purpose for which you exist. Absolutely. Here's an expanded 600-word version of your requested point, formatted for audio narration with clear line breaks. Every person carries within them an extraordinary potential, a potential to grow, to transform, and to reach heights that may seem unimaginable. Too often, we underestimate ourselves. We measure our abilities by our current circumstances, by our past mistakes, or by the opinions of others. But potential is not bound by these limits. It is not determined by what we have already achieved or by the obstacles we face. Potential is the inner capacity to become more than we are today. It is the spark within us that calls us to strive, to improve, and to evolve. Growth begins with the recognition that we are not fixed, that our character, our mind, and our spirit can expand. It begins with the willingness to embrace change and the courage to confront our limitations. To grow, we must first believe that growth is possible. We must recognize that our current state is not our final state. Even in moments of struggle, failure, or doubt, the capacity for transformation exists. It is nurtured through learning, reflection, and perseverance. It is strengthened by challenges, because obstacles test our resolve and reveal the strength within us. Potential for growth is also a gift. It allows us to approach life with curiosity and hope. It encourages us to seek new experiences, to explore new ideas, and to step beyond the familiar. Every challenge we face is an opportunity to stretch, to refine, and to rise. Every setback can be a teacher, showing us what we need to overcome, what we need to understand, and what we are capable of achieving. Growth requires effort and intention. It is not passive. It demands that we confront discomfort, that we step into uncertainty, and that we take responsibility for our own development. We cannot grow by avoiding difficulty. We grow by engaging with it, learning from it, and allowing it to shape us. This potential is not merely about external success or accomplishments. It is about becoming the fullest version of ourselves. It is about cultivating virtues, strengthening character, and deepening understanding. It is about expanding our capacity for love, compassion, and empathy. Every person has a unique combination of gifts and talents. Recognizing our potential for growth means acknowledging that these gifts can be developed and shared with the world. It means believing that we are capable of contributing more than we might imagine. It also requires patience. Growth is not instant. Transformation does not happen overnight. It unfolds gradually, often imperceptibly, as we make small, consistent choices that honor our highest aspirations. The journey toward our potential is filled with learning, mistakes, and adjustments. But with each step, we move closer to the person we are capable of becoming. This awareness of potential inspires hope. It allows us to face setbacks with resilience, to approach challenges with determination, and to embrace life with a sense of possibility. It encourages us to dream bigger, to aim higher, and to take bold steps toward our goals. Potential for growth is a call to action. It reminds us that we are never fully finished, never fully limited, and never beyond the reach of transformation. It is a source of motivation, a wellspring of courage, and a reminder that our lives are a work in progress. When we embrace our potential, we not only improve ourselves, but we also enrich the lives of those around us. Our growth inspires others, creating a ripple effect that elevates communities, relationships, and the world. Every person has this capacity. Every person can choose to cultivate it, and in doing so, we step into the fullness of who we are and the remarkable possibilities that life has placed within our reach. Certainly, here's an expanded 600-word version of your requested point, formatted for audio narration with clear line breaks. Being authentic means living in alignment with who you truly are. It is the courage to embrace your thoughts, your feelings, and your values without pretense. Authenticity is not always easy. The world often encourages us to conform, to fit into molds, to act in ways that gain approval or avoid judgment. But when we hide our true selves, we diminish our potential and weaken our connections with others. Being authentic requires honesty, first with ourselves and then with the world. It asks us to confront the parts of ourselves we may prefer to ignore. It asks us to accept both our strengths and our weaknesses, our successes and our failures. Authenticity is not perfection, it is truth. It is the willingness to show up as you are, without masks or facades. When we are authentic, our relationships deepen. People are drawn to truth. They sense sincerity and respond to it with trust and openness. When we hide or pretend, our interactions are shallow, strained, and disconnected. But when we are genuine, we allow others to see us fully, and in turn, they feel safe to reveal their own truths. This creates bonds that are real, meaningful, and enduring. Authenticity also strengthens our contributions to the world. When we act in alignment with our values, passions, and talents, our work carries energy, integrity, and purpose. It resonates with others because it is rooted in truth. People can sense when something is done authentically, and it inspires confidence, respect, and collaboration. When we compromise our authenticity for approval, we risk losing both our direction and our impact. We may achieve recognition, but it will feel hollow. We may gain followers, but they will not be fully engaged. True influence comes from being genuine, not from wearing a mask. Being authentic requires courage. It often means standing alone, voicing opinions that differ from the majority, or taking paths that others may not understand. It requires resisting the pressure to conform or to imitate, but this courage brings freedom. Freedom from the fear of judgment, freedom from the exhaustion of pretending, freedom to live fully and intentionally. Authenticity also cultivates self-respect. When we honor who we are, we send a message to ourselves and to the world that we matter. We do not compromise our values for convenience or comfort. We recognize that our life is our own and that it deserves to be lived honestly and faithfully. This does not mean we are rigid or inflexible. Authenticity is not about stubbornness. It is about truthfulness combined with empathy, humility, and discernment. It is about navigating life in a way that honors both who we are and how we interact with others. Living authentically fosters resilience. When challenges arise, we are guided by our inner compass. We make decisions that are consistent with our values, which allows us to face adversity with clarity and confidence. We are less swayed by external pressures or fleeting trends. We understand our boundaries, and we are better able to protect our time, energy, and spirit. Being authentic also inspires others. When we live true to ourselves, we encourage those around us to do the same. We create a culture of honesty, trust, and integrity. We model courage, and in doing so, we help others step into their own truth. Ultimately, authenticity matters because it is the foundation of a meaningful life. It strengthens our relationships, amplifies our contributions, and allows us to live with integrity and purpose. It is a choice we make daily, a commitment to honor our inner truth, and a path toward a life that is rich, vibrant, and deeply connected. Absolutely. Here's an expanded 600-word version of your requested point, formatted for audio narration with clear line breaks. The choices we make about ourselves do not exist in isolation. They ripple outward, affecting the people, communities, and world around us. When we focus on our growth, our values, and our well-being, we create a foundation for positive impact. Self-value is not a solitary act. It is a force that shapes how we interact with others. When we honor our own worth, we bring clarity, confidence, and intention into every relationship. We listen more attentively, we speak more thoughtfully, we act more compassionately. This presence and integrity influence those we encounter. Communities are strengthened by individuals who understand their own value and purpose. When we focus on our responsibilities, our growth, and our contributions, we set an example for others. We demonstrate that life can be lived with intention and meaning. People are inspired not just by words, but by the way we carry ourselves, the consistency of our actions, and the authenticity of our hearts. When we invest in ourselves, we are better equipped to invest in others. Our energy, our talents, and our wisdom become resources that can uplift those around us. We are able to support friends, family, and colleagues with generosity, not depletion. We can contribute to our communities with insight, care, and reliability. A person who values themselves is not distracted by trivial conflicts or empty comparisons. Instead, they channel their attention into what truly matters, creating tangible, meaningful change. This focus extends beyond personal relationships. It affects workplaces, organizations, neighborhoods, and society at large. Communities thrive when individuals bring their best selves to shared efforts. Innovation, collaboration, and social harmony flourish when people act from a place of clarity and self-respect. When each person takes responsibility for their own life, their own growth, and their own ethical conduct, society becomes stronger. Our influence may be subtle at first, like a drop in a pond, but even small ripples can create waves that travel far beyond what we imagine. Every act of integrity, every moment of disciplined focus, every decision to act from principle rather than impulse contributes to a larger good. When we model self-respect and intentionality, others are encouraged to do the same. The effects multiply as communities become networks of people who value themselves and each other. Social change is often thought to come from large movements or sweeping policies, yet it begins in the hearts and minds of individuals. The choice to focus, to prioritize, and to honor oneself sets a precedent. It demonstrates that meaningful action starts with the person. It proves that lasting impact requires inner clarity and commitment. When people cultivate self-value, they act with responsibility toward the environment, toward justice, and toward those who are vulnerable. They make decisions that consider long-term consequences, not just immediate gain. They engage in civic life with thoughtfulness and dedication. They inspire cooperation rather than conflict, understanding rather than judgment, generosity rather than indifference. The ripple effect continues because influence spreads naturally from one life to another. The values we embody, the focus we maintain, and the self-respect we cultivate become contagious. As more individuals live intentionally and honor their worth, communities transform, neighborhoods become safer, workplaces become more collaborative, and societies become more humane. Impact begins with the individual. It begins with the courage to focus, to value oneself, and to live authentically. From there, it expands outward, touching countless lives in ways both seen and unseen. Even the smallest acts of self-discipline, self-respect, and intentionality have consequences beyond our awareness. Every ripple matters. Every choice contributes to the collective well-being. By focusing on our own growth and valuing ourselves, we are not acting in isolation. We are participating in a larger, interconnected web of influence that strengthens communities, nurtures society, and ultimately makes the world a better place for everyone, of course. Here's an expanded 600-word version of your requested point, formatted for audio narration with clear line breaks. Life has a way of pulling us in 1,000 directions at once. Work, obligations, social pressures, and countless distractions demand our attention every day. It is easy to lose ourselves in the endless motion, to become consumed by what is urgent but not essential. Balance in life requires a conscious decision to prioritize the inner life, our mind, heart, and soul, over the constant demands of the outside world. Our inner life is the foundation of who we are. It is where clarity, wisdom, and resilience are cultivated. Neglecting it leads to fragmentation, exhaustion, and a sense of emptiness, no matter how much we accomplish externally. To prioritize the mind is to nurture thought, reflection, and learning. It is to seek understanding, to question, to explore, and to grow intellectually. It is to avoid the trap of constant distraction, instead choosing focus and contemplation. The mind, when cared for, becomes a source of insight and discernment. To prioritize the heart is to attend to emotions, relationships, and the capacity for empathy and love. It is to recognize what stirs within us and to allow ourselves to feel fully. It is to nurture meaningful connections with others rather than scattering our energy on superficial interactions. A balanced heart brings depth to our relationships and richness to our experiences. To prioritize the soul is to cultivate purpose, meaning, and spiritual well-being. It is to connect with the deeper truths of life, to seek alignment with what is just and good. It is to find grounding in values and convictions that guide our actions with integrity. A nurtured soul provides resilience, perspective, and a sense of peace amidst life's challenges. Balance is not about avoiding responsibilities or ignoring the world. It is about ordering our priorities so that we can engage with life fully and intentionally. It requires discernment to know which demands deserve attention and which can be set aside. It requires courage to say no to what drains us, distracts us, or diminishes our inner life. It is a daily practice, not a one-time decision. Each day presents choices about where to invest our energy, what to give our attention to, and how to care for ourselves. When we prioritize the inner life, we are better equipped to navigate the external world with clarity and wisdom. We make decisions from a place of centeredness rather than reaction or fatigue. We approach challenges with patience, insight, and calm. We cultivate relationships that are meaningful rather than superficial. We engage in work and service with intention, not compulsion. Balance also requires reflection. It is not enough to act. We must pause and evaluate the rhythms of our life. Are we honoring our mind, heart, and soul? Are we giving ourselves the space to grow, to rest, and to connect with what matters most? Adjustments are necessary, sometimes daily, to maintain this balance. When we achieve it, life becomes richer, fuller, and more vibrant. External pressures no longer dictate our happiness or our sense of worth. We find that by prioritizing the inner life, our productivity, creativity, and impact on the world actually increase. We are not scattered by trivial demands, but focused on what truly matters. We carry a sense of peace, purpose, and intentionality into every interaction and endeavor. Balance in life is an act of self-respect, wisdom, and courage. It honors the truth that we are more than what we do, more than what we achieve, and more than what others expect. It is a recognition that nurturing the mind, heart, and soul is essential to living fully, freely, and authentically. And in that balance, we discover not only ourselves, but the capacity to engage with the world in a meaningful and lasting way. Absolutely. Here's an expanded 600-word version of your requested point, formatted for audio narration with clear line breaks. Now is the time to awaken, not just to the external world, but to the truth within yourself. Not to the distractions that constantly vie for your attention, but to the quiet, enduring voice that reminds you of who you truly are. Awakening is an act of courage. It is a decision to stop drifting through life and to start living with intention. It is the choice to open your eyes to your own potential, your own dignity, and your own worth. Too often, we sleepwalk through our days, allowing circumstance, habit, or fear to define our path. We postpone our dreams, ignore our needs, and diminish our own value in the process. But the call to awaken is urgent. It is a reminder that life is finite, and that every moment wasted in neglect of ourselves is a moment lost. To awaken is to focus. It is to direct your energy, attention, and intention toward what truly matters. Focus is the antidote to distraction, the lens through which clarity emerges. When you focus, you discern what nourishes you and what drains you. You identify the relationships, choices, and actions that elevate your life and align with your purpose. Focus allows you to live authentically rather than reacting endlessly to the demands of the world. It gives you the power to prioritize, to invest in what matters, and to release what does not serve your growth. To awaken and focus is also to embrace your inherent dignity. Your worth is not conditional. It does not depend on your accomplishments, your status, or the approval of others. It exists because you exist. To acknowledge this is to honor the deepest truth of your being. Embracing your dignity means treating yourself with respect, care, and attention. It means refusing to allow others, or even yourself, to diminish your value. It is the recognition that your life, your mind, your heart, and your spirit are sacred. When you awaken to this truth, your life begins to change. You act with intention rather than impulse. You make decisions that reflect your values and your purpose. You cultivate relationships that nurture rather than deplete your spirit. You pursue work, growth, and service that align with the truth of who you are. Awakening, focusing, and embracing your dignity is not a one-time act. It is a continuous journey, a daily commitment to live fully and authentically. It requires courage, discipline, and reflection. It requires saying no to what diminishes you and yes to what elevates you. It requires patience as you navigate the challenges and distractions of life, and yet the rewards are profound. When you answer this call, you experience clarity, purpose, and inner peace. You begin to live a life that is rich, meaningful, and aligned with your highest potential. Your influence spreads naturally to those around you. Your focus, integrity, and authenticity inspire others to recognize their own worth and potential. Communities, workplaces, and relationships benefit from the presence of people who have awakened to themselves. There is power in choosing to act now. There is transformation in choosing to focus. There is liberation in choosing to embrace your dignity. Every step you take toward awareness, clarity, and self-respect strengthens not only your life but the world around you. The time is not tomorrow. The time is not when circumstances are perfect or when fear has passed. The time is now. Awaken to your potential. Focus on what truly matters. Embrace the dignity that has always been yours. Step into the fullness of who you are with courage, clarity, and conviction. Let every action, every decision, and every choice reflect the truth that you are valuable, capable, and worthy. This is the moment to live intentionally, to honor yourself, and to impact the world through the authenticity of your life. The call is before you. Answer it. Here's a suitable, powerful ending for your speech, keeping in the reflective, uplifting, and spiritually aware style of the rest of it. Friends, as we stand at this moment, remember that the journey inward is the journey outward. When you focus, when you honor your worth, when you cultivate your mind, heart, and soul, you are not living selfishly. You are living fully. You are awakening to the truth of who you are, and in doing so, you illuminate the path for others. Your life, lived with intention and authenticity, becomes a gift to the world. So step forward with courage. Embrace your dignity without hesitation. Live with focus, love, and integrity. Let every choice you make, every action you take, reflect the extraordinary value that is yours simply because you exist. This is your time to awaken, to grow, and to shine. The world needs your presence, your clarity, and your heart. Do not wait another day. Start now, and let your life become a testament to the beauty, power, and potential of a person who has chosen to value themselves, focus their energy, and live in truth.